Let's delve into this more. Joining me live, Victoria Cooper, non-resident fellow at the United States Study Centre. Thanks for your time. Look, I know George Clooney's not an insider, but he knows Biden well. Only weeks ago, raising all this money. Will this have a bit of cut through? Because he just says, look, I don't want to say this, but he's not the same person.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting development coming out of the United States just yesterday that George Clooney, who was part of a record-breaking donation effort just last month, $28 million raised alongside other celebrities like Julia Roberts and Barack Obama, came out to bat for Joe Biden to endorse him to help create and stimulate more money and more interest in his campaign. Now coming out saying, I love Joe Biden, but he's no longer the Joe Biden that he was in 2020. And I think what he's doing with these comments is just kind of reiterating a lot of what people are concerned about, what a lot of voters have been voicing concern about even before the debate, which is that they're concerned that Joe Biden no longer is able to serve as president or is too old to serve out his duties as president. So these developments, I think, are just kind of reiterating a lot of the conversations that have been happening for many months, but now we're starting to see elites, donors, Congress members come out voicing the same concerns.
He's raised a lot of money. Presumably he won't be out there again. So there's one blow on the donors. And the more and more this happens, it becomes self-fulfilling. The donors lose faith. They don't give money. The ads aren't out there. He goes down in the polls. So is that what could actually bring things to a head? And if Joe Biden actually starts to think he's no chance, he can claim, I don't know, maybe he'll have an out saying, I was going to do this. I'm not being supported anymore. I can't. Therefore, I'm stepping aside. And that's his, that's his escalation point or de-escalation point, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting theory. I think Joe Biden and his team, if he does decide to stand down, will certainly be looking for a very palatable message that is kind of a tricky balance for him, because he has to be able to say, I'm fit to run for the next couple of months until the election, and I'm fit to be your president right now, versus I'm not fit to be your president in 4 years' time. It's quite a hard message to sell. So perhaps you're right. Perhaps something like donors pulling out and seeing that he no longer has the numbers might be enough to push him to be persuaded to stand aside. Many have said that maybe it'll take senior leadership from the Democrats. People like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries coming out and explicitly saying that we need you to stand aside. Jill Biden especially, Barack Obama, those kind of people are the ones who are going to be the heavyweights to persuade him to stand aside.
The other tricky part is, do you need a clear contender to emerge? I don't know. It feels like maybe that is Kamala Harris. A lot of people doubted that, but she's being spoken about more and more because she's the only obvious one. She's not going to come out. She can't come out and say, I want this, until Joe Biden does. But if other people are pushing her, then at least you're coalescing around someone. Is that the other missing ingredient, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kamala Harris does kind of present as the obvious secondary to Biden if he does decide to stand aside. Not only can she pull from the same pool of funding that Biden has, considering that it's the Biden-Harris ticket, but she can also claim many of the wins of the Biden-Harris administration, things like the Chips and Science Act, the Infrastructure Act. She too can say, well, that was part of my administration. And not to mention that she has been in charge of some really sticky issues for the Democrats, including things like abortion rights, things like the southern border, and things that really drive our Democrats to turn out to vote on election days, including in the midterm elections in 2022. She's been responsible for kind of being the face of those issues. So that could also actually pull well in terms of inspiring some Democrat turnout in November.
Noticing John Bolton's come out and again spoken out against Donald Trump, saying NATO would collapse if he gets into power. So they're the sort of things that are not quite getting to, the top of news bulletins because it's all about Joe Biden. We'll see where it goes from here. Victoria Cooper, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Have a good day.